In the year 1910, a British archaeological mission made one of the biggest discoveries of all time. In the hills of Dera Bukti, they found the bones of what scientists believe was once the world's largest mammal, the Balochistan, the beast of Balochistan. Soon, more and more leaps in archaeology came from other expeditions in Balochistan. Teams found more bones of Balochistan, fossils of a prehistoric whale that walked on land, and crazily enough, traces of a Neolithic civilization that's even older than the cities and cultures of the Indus Valley, the Mehergarh civilization. You might wonder, what is it about Balochistan that's made us uncover so many fossils and historical artifacts from this one province of Pakistan? Well, much of Balochistan is a very dry mountainous environment, and it's believed it has been this way for a long time. Without the humidity and monsoon rains prevalent across Pakistan, Balochistan's archaeological heritage has been safer from the kind of environmental degradation that has affected ancient heritage in other parts of Pakistan. But then you might ask, if rains are rare and there are no big rivers, how do people manage to live in Balochistan? Where do they get their water? The answer might lie in how close Balochistan is to the cities of ancient Persia.
And that's where I come in.
Hey!
My ancestors were nomads, people who moved around a lot in this part of the world. And some historians, they believe we're the people who introduced the water management system of Persia into Balochistan.
But it could have been merchants too, or one of the many other people in Balochistan that regularly traveled to parts of the world that form present-day Iran. This water management system, called Karez, was used as early as about 3,000 years ago. In lots of towns and villages in Balochistan, Karez provided people with a means to life when there was no water on the surface.
And it did this without pumping. The builders of Karez systems created a network of underground tunnels to make groundwater flow up into the surface, all with gravity and a knack for engineering.
Hey, you guys keep using the past tense. In fact, there are over 1,000 Karez channels still functioning, and like it has been for centuries, people still use them to irrigate their agricultural lands, to get water for washing,
and sometimes even swimming for fun.
Because of the way the Karez works, it involves everybody in the community in its upkeep, in its distribution. Everyone has a stake in Karez together. That's why it's called an integrated water management system. It brings communities together for the common cause of living a sustainable life.
And speaking about sustainability, Karez channels may be much more environmentally friendly than modern tube wells. In the short term, tube wells might mean more water for the wealthy landowners, but in the long term, in Balochistan's environment, tube wells can completely dry out the water table of the places, completely finish the groundwater where they're installed.
If you think that's a problem for future generations to worry about, guess again.
It's actually an immediate issue for everyone who can't afford the high cost of installing a tube well. As groundwater levels deplete, people have to dig deeper and deeper to get water. And only tube wells can go that deep. This can become a destructive cycle, one that ultimately ends in towns and villages becoming unfit for human habitation.
Already, many Karez channels have been destroyed. Sometimes to build roads, sometimes to expand agricultural property, or sometimes simply because no one remembers how to maintain and use them.
But there are people who are still working on preserving Karez systems. And it's not just their amazing history that's making people preserve them. Karez management is an example of how age-old practices and methods can be more environmentally sensitive and wildly more functional than modern technologies, especially now as we fight against the harmful effects of climate change.
Merchants and shepherds from Balochistan took this technology onwards to other dry parts of the world too. In parts of China and Central Asia, Karez is believed to have been introduced from Balochistan.
It's true that words like heritage and archaeology make us think of forts and fossils, but the indigenous knowledge and technological innovations of our ancestors are also an important part of our cultural history. The ingenuity of the first engineers and eco-friendly agriculturalists of the past gave us amazing zero-energy consuming water systems like the Karez. To safeguard this valuable knowledge and revive and recognize the water security and better natural resource management, these systems provided past generations in Balochistan.
It's a past of unique global human heritage, a past that connects us to a bigger world, to a past of movement through places and peoples, a past tied to other cultures and empires, a past that ties us to different versions of sustainability, of ecology, and a past that has immense value in our present and for strengthening our future.
And for communities in Balochistan, sharing this history also brings us closer to each other.